some of the last bits you were talking about is where I wanted to focus my attention, and what I see as a teacher in the classroom is a constant rollout of the new test. Having been in a high school for the last 17 years, there was a test I actually valued. Several generations ago, in the testing generations, there was something called the New Standards Reference Exam, which I implemented in the first year in Rhode Island back in 1998. And it did give some good data. So I will disagree with you in that regard, because what it gave me was a snapshot of my students and my school saying, you did well teaching one variable equations or statistics or volume and areas. So it told us as a school, what are your shortcomings or where are your effectiveness? And that was good data, but that's what it was. It wasn't telling the kids, if you don't do well here, then you will fail or you will not graduate. So it was a decent measure for research purposes, but the kids knew it wasn't a graduation requirement. It was just, okay guys, for a couple days we're going to take a couple tests so we, as educators, can find out where we are failing, if we are failing in things, or realign things to say, good, bad, or move on. But now I am hearing all the high stakes testing. When NECAP came out, it was supposed to be another diagnostic to tell us information. It was never designed to be a test of graduation. Now we're hearing NEWA, a test that is going to be done 3 times a year on computers, on tablets, and every kid in the building will be measured in English and in math, and it's a dynamic test. Recently I heard of a STAR test, I don't even know what that is, where it too is going to measure per course kids getting out of Algebra 1, getting out of basic literature, and they're just adding on. As NECAP is dying and being removed, they are introducing the PARC exams, which are based on the Common Core, and yet the Common Core is not fully written yet. So they are already designing a test that will measure graduation at the high school level that isn't even written. How can I prepare my students for a test that I don't even have access to? It would be like me training for a marathon that you don't tell me what the distance is. How can I train for a race of a certain length if you don't tell me how far the race is or what speed am I going to have to travel at? It's an improper measure, and this is all about the blame game. I see this back in, I agree with you, in 1983 when they threw this blame card at us. They wanted to blame everybody, and now they're blaming teachers with the evaluation systems. They're blaming the students with all these tests to say, haha, look, 30% of you can't pass this. Clearly the schools are failing. But that's not the design of this stuff. I think we as an individual district have the right to determine our own measures. Here at East Greenwich, we decided that a senior project was of merit, where we would evaluate each kid on an individual plan, on an individual measure, to see who is pushing themselves, or who is showing growth, or who is improving over 4 years as a total student, while making them public speak, while making them prepare something on their extra time, and using class time to create some of these documents and portfolios and interviews and essays and research papers. We at East Greenwich decided this was a good measure, as well as coursework, as well as being a good citizen and being a developing member of the community. And we, as a school committee, as a high school, as an elementary school, would say, yes, this kid is worthy. We will give them a diploma. And if they fall short, you know what? They will not graduate. They will have to consider a 5th year, or maybe a GED program is best for them. We had safeguards to determine what a kid's worth was and what a kid's graduation should look like. And we did that in good faith because that's what we were told. And then the extra layers of now, not only is it going to be a test to get out of high school in math and a test to get out of high school in English, but now we're moving into a per course assessment, where if you can't pass the course test, then you don't get out of the course. So we're going to be making more 5th year and 6th year high school students. But that disservices the soul of the person. When I hear about the special education, she's absolutely right. We're seeing a disenfranchising of our special education students, of our students who are not yet able to handle these high tests, these higher level courses. Are you aware that when NECAP is being rolled out and PARC is rolled out, they're changing all 10 grades of curriculum at the same time. It's not that they're moving a kid from 2nd and 3rd grade and they're going to change a little for every year so that in 8 years' time, that whole change of system is going to be in place so that the new generation of curriculums are going to be harvested at the end. They're changing at every single grade level on day 1, 2014. They want every kid at 2014 to be on this super curriculum, which is very rigorous. At the high school level, I'm teaching stuff, I've been teaching things in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, Pre-Calculus, and they're going to be adding 30 to 50% more in each of those courses. But my kids have not had the skills to get there yet, and I teach at East Greenwich. As your statistics say, we're one of the haves. We're one of the higher achieving districts. And our kids on this new test, which again I want to point out, is not yet written and not available for me to study, my kids are going to be forced to take this at a high stakes. I think that's unfair, and our kids know this is unfair, and they're becoming disenfranchised. And that is, I think, the disjustice of this, the injustice of this, because you see a demoralizing staff, you see a demoralizing group of students, and it is more specific to the special education or the poorer families, because they're being told at an 8th and 9th grade level, you're going to fail. They're being told that they know with their 8th grade results, you are already at a disadvantage of graduation. And for those kids to walk through the hallways has to be hell. It has to be such a demoralizing aspect, which causes other problems. You don't want to be around people who are unmotivated. You want to be around people who have hope, that are trying to do their best. And I think at a local level, we in a district and a school committee and a faculty and a superintendent level can determine how to instill hope in all of our kids and to bring them to the best of their ability. And they set the standards. It's not the state, it's not the national, but they love to put the platitudes of, where we love kids and we're going to do what's best for kids. I do too. My district loves kids. I have never met a principal in my district that has said, yeah, I don't care about kids. They care, but we're being told that this is the mandate and this is how it should be done. We thought the senior project was great. And I know our students, I have some of them here who will argue with me that it's not a great thing. I think it's one of the greatest things for an end product to say, I've shown growth, I've learned something, let me show you what I've learned. I got no problem with that as a system. And each kid is walked through a set of steps to say, I learned this, let me prove it. And also doing some coursework, which they can fail a couple courses and they can remediate and they can go to summer school. That's failure. That's a good thing to learn. People learn through failure. But everything is about the money. It's the money trail. It's the blame card because it's lining the pockets of a lot of corporations. I know we want to talk about the student level today, and I won't go off on that, but I do want to just point to this. But the only way this thing is going to get fixed, I think, is with parents. Deborah Gist has not listened to the teachers and the union concerns over what testing means to the whole person. So she's only going to listen to parents. We've seen movements in New York where parents are standing up and withdrawing their kids from their state testings, and motion is happening. The waves are being created in the towns because the parents have said no more. And that's what we need to see here. We're seeing fledgling groups start in Rhode Island, but they're late to the party. So you need to know it's in the parents' hands because they're the taxpayers and the voters. They are not listening to the worker. They are not listening to the teacher in this regard. And in Providence, it's been clear as the students are starting to speak up, they don't want to listen to the students very much. So it has to come from the voters. It has to come from the citizenship because they're not listening to us.